Have you ever met someone who can explain the intricacies of quantum mechanics but forgets to eat? Or perhaps you know a person who would rather debate the nature of reality than small talk about the weather? Congratulations, you might have encountered an INTP in the wild. INTP stands for Introverted, Intuitive, Thinking and Perceiving. It's one of the 16 Myers-Briggs personality types, and INTPs are known for their love of abstract theories, logical analysis, and their uncanny ability to overthink, well, everything. But INTPs aren't born questioning the fabric of space-time while forgetting where they put their keys. Oh no, it's an evolution, a journey from curious kid to quantum thinker. Buckle up, fellow humans and potential INTPs, as we embark on a trek through INTP life cycle. It's going to get weird, it's going to get wonderful, and it might just make you question your existence. At least your choice of socks this morning. The curious child. The endless why phase. Imagine a child's bedroom at night. A tired-looking parent sits on the edge of the bed, closing a storybook. Parent. And they all lived happily ever after. The end. INTP. But why? Why what, sweetie? Why did they live happily ever after? Because that's how fairy tales end, I guess. But why do fairy tales end that way? Is it a societal construct designed to instill unrealistic expectations of perpetual happiness? And what defines happily anyway? Is it a subjective experience or can it be quantified objectively? Parents' eye twitches. The why phase. For most kids, it's a fleeting period of curiosity. For young INTPs, it's the dawn of a lifelong quest to understand everything. That's a great question, sweetie. How about we talk about it in the morning? INTP. But why do we perceive time as a linear construct with arbitrary divisions like morning and evening? The parent starts slowly backing out of the room. And so begins the INTP journey down the rabbit hole of endless questions. Parents, if this sounds familiar, congratulations. You might be raising a future philosopher, scientist, or a professional overthinker. The Accidental Inventor. You walk into a family kitchen. There's a complex contraption made of household items that stretches across the room. INTPs don't just ask questions. They seek solutions, sometimes to problems that don't exactly exist. The parent walks in, sleepy-eyed, enters the kitchen, and follows the trail of the contraption. Parent. Honey, what's all this? INTP. Oh, good morning. I created an automated pet feeding system. But we don't have a pet. Exactly. I figured this would increase our pet ownership efficiency by 127%. Watch this. The INTP pulls the lever. The contraption jumps to life. Cereal boxes flip, milk pours, a toy car races along a track, dominoes fall, and finally a single piece of cereal lands in a dog bowl. Now we're fully prepared for any future pet acquisition scenarios. INTPs, they like solving tomorrow's problems today, whether you need them solved or not. Classroom Daydreamer. In an elementary school classroom, a teacher writes math problems on the board. Teacher. Now class, let's solve these addition problems. Our INTP is not really paying attention, they're staring out the window. To the untrained eye, it might seem like our young INTP is ignoring the lesson, but in reality, in his mind, he is fighting incredible battles. For too long we've been divided, it's time to add our forces together and multiply our strength. But beware, the dreaded subtraction sorcerer and his division minions. The epic battle ensues, and the numbers fight it out. In the INTP mind, even the most mundane subjects can become epic sagas of logic and imagination. Teacher. And what's the answer, Jamie? The answer is unity against the forces of mathematical tyranny? Question mark? Not quite. The answer is 15. Please pay attention, Jamie. And so, our young INTP learns an important lesson. Sometimes the journey of the mind is best kept in the mind. In the next section, we'll follow our INTP in the teenage years. Will they crack the code of high school social dynamics, or will they just crack? Teenage years. The social camouflage attempt. A teenage INTP's bedroom. Walls covered in posters of scientists and philosophers. For many, high school is a time of social butterflying, but for INTPs, it's more like social caterpillaring, with a side of existential crisis. Our INTP sits at a desk, hunched over a large piece of paper. If I factor in a variable of Sarah's new haircut accounting for a 37% increase in social capital and cross-reference it with the theorem of popularity, the classic INTP solution to social awkwardness, turn it into a science project. Mom, honey, aren't you going to be late for the school dance? INTP, dance? Oh right, social ritual number 17B. Don't worry mom, I've prepared for this. INTP grabs the notebook, heads out. At the school dance, INTP stands in the corner, consulting the notebook. Step 1. Initiate casual conversation. Suggested topics, weather, sports, or quantum entanglement. INTP approaches a group of their colleagues. Hey guys, how about this local sports team and their statistically improbable winning streak? Almost as unlikely as the wave function collapse in a multi-world interpretation of quantum mechanics, am I right? And so our INTP learns an important lesson. Sometimes the best social strategy is to embrace the awkward. Hobby obsession. INTP is inside the room. It's now transformed into a mini Dungeons and Dragons universe. While other teens obsess over celebrities or sports teams, INTP tends to dive deep into anything that catches the boundless curiosity. INTP sits surrounded by D&D manuals, scientific journals, and a whiteboard filled with equations. By incorporating quantum tunneling into the magic system, I can create a perfectly balanced campaign that's also a metaphor for Schrodinger's cat. Then a friend enters the room and says, "Hey, we've been waiting to start the game for an hour. Are you ready?" INTP, almost. I just need to finish calculating the probability of a paladin successfully casting a spell while simultaneously existing in two parallel universes. Friend, we're just trying to raid a goblin cave. Exactly, and those goblins will be traversing 11 dimensions while they do it. For an INTP, there's no such thing as just a game. Everything is an opportunity for deeper understanding, whether others want it or not. The debate club dominator. In a high school, there's a debate club. It's two podiums that face each other and the teacher stands between them. The debate club is a natural habitat of a teenage INTP where every topic is a gateway to the meaning of life itself. Teacher, today's debate topic is: should our school adopt a uniform policy? INTP steps up to the podium and says, before we can address the issue of school uniforms, we must first examine the very concept of free will. Are our clothing choices truly our own, or merely an illusion of choice in a deterministic universe? The opponent looks confused. The teacher looks even more confused. INTP. Furthermore, we must consider the societal implications of conformity. By enforcing uniformity in dress, are we not mirroring the homogenization of thought so chillingly predicted in Orwell in 1984? Teacher, perhaps we could focus more on the practical aspects of INTP. Practical? But what is truly practical in a universe of endless possibilities? If we accept that many worlds' interpretation of quantum mechanics, then in some universes we already are wearing uniforms. Or perhaps no clothes at all, which raises the question, in a multiverse of infinite realities, does this debate even matter? 2 hours pass, the opponent is asleep, the teacher is slumped over the desk, but the INTP is still going strong. INTP. And that's why the real uniform we should be concerned about is the uniform nature of space-time itself. Thank you. INTP looks up and finally notices the empty room. And so, our INTP learns another valuable lesson. Sometimes winning the debate means losing the audience. College years. The major dilemma. INTP is in college advisor's office. They sit across the room and the advisor is clearly upset. Advisor, so have you decided on a major yet? INTP, yes. I've created a customized interdisciplinary program that combines astrophysics, ancient philosophy, and interpretive dance. Advisor: I'm not sure we offer that. INTP: oh, it's simple really. I'll use interpretive dance to physically model the movements of celestial bodies while simultaneously exploring the philosophical implications of cosmic dance as proposed by Pythagoras. But how is this going to lead to a career? INTP, visibly confused. Career? Oh, right, that's the thing that people do. Well, obviously, I'll be uniquely positioned to choreograph a ballet for astronauts. Or perhaps teach philosophy to black holes through the medium of dance? The classic INTP approach to education. Why choose one field when you can connect all the fields? Who needs a job prospect when you have intellectual satisfaction? The dorm room scientist. In a cluttered dorm room that looks more like a mad scientist lab, we find our INTP. For many college students, a dorm room is a place to sleep, study, and occasionally lose something. For an INTP, it's a laboratory limited only by imagination and fire safety regulations. INTP stands over a bizarre contraption made of a microwave, several calculators, and what appears to be a lava lamp. Roommate: hey, what's the smell? What are you cooking? INTP: cooking? Oh no, I'm merely attempting to create a miniature black hole to optimize our ramen preparation process. What? Think about it. If we could harness the time dilation effect of a black hole's event horizon, we could cook our ramen for subjective years while only minutes pass out here. Perfectly cooked noodles instantaneously. Roommate: can't we just use the microwave like normal people? INTP: normal? What's the fun in that? Besides, this way we might accidentally discover faster than light travel, or invent time pasta. The possibilities are endless. Suddenly the contraption starts to glow and emit a low humming sound. INTP: fascinating. It appears we created a localized field of quantum uncertainty. Quick, hand me that spoon. Roommate clearly just backing out. I'm gonna go study in the library for forever. Remember people, most college roommates just want to share a mini fridge, not a Nobel Prize in physics. The Allnighter Analysis. INTP is in their dorm room late at night. Books and papers are scattered everywhere. The finals week. For most students, a time of caffeine-fueled cramming. But for our INTP, well, INTP sits at a desk surrounded by empty energy drink cans, furiously typing on a laptop. If I adjust for the cognitive bias inherent in standardized testing, factor in the socioeconomic variables affecting educational process, and cross-reference with the hierarchy of needs, INTP's friend peeks in. Hey, what have you been up to all night? How's the studying going? INTP: studying? Oh no, I've been drafting a comprehensive proposal to overhaul the entire educational system. Friend: but what about your final exam in an hour? INTP: there's an exam? Then our INTP starts running across the campus, barging into exam room, frantically filling out the test. And so our INTP learns another valuable lesson. Sometimes you need to study the trees before you can redesign the forest. After the exam, the friend asks, how did it go? INTP: well, I didn't know most of the specific questions, but I did write a compelling essay on why the questions themselves are flawed and proposed an alternative assessment method based on interpretive dance and quantum mechanics. Only an INTP could turn an exam into a metacognitive analysis of exams themselves. Now, before we go into INTP's working adult years, let's quickly zoom in onto INTP's brain and see how it works. Our INTP is on a lecture and the professor mentions medieval feudalism, and that, in INTP's mind, connects to modern corporate structures, then to AI governance models, then to potential robot uprising, and finally linking to the need to stock up on canned goods. And that's how INTP can start a history lecture and end up planning for the robot apocalypse. It's not distraction, it's just creative learning. The working adult. A typical office. Rows of cubicles, fluorescent lighting, and the faint sound of soul-crushing monotony. For many, the corporate world is a place of structure, routine, and casual Friday dreams. But for an INTP, it's a complex system begging to be optimized, whether anyone asks for it or not. INTP sits at the desk, surrounded by stacks of paper and an unreasonable number of sticky notes. Coworker. Hey, can you show me how to use the new filing system? INTP, their eyes light up. Filing system? Oh, you mean my organizational paradigm based on emergent behaviors in social insect colonies? I what? INTP, let me show you. INTP leads the coworker to a wall covered in an intricate web of strings, sticky notes, and what appears to be a terrarium. See, each document is represented by a virtual ant in our digital ecosystem. Ant follows pheromone trails led by user queries that naturally cluster related information through a process of self-organization. Coworker. I just wanted to know where to put the Johnson's account. INTP. Simple. Just input Johnson into this terminal here and watch. Then a small robotic ant emerges from the terrarium, scurrying across the desk to retrieve a file. INTP. Isn't this beautiful? I've increased our data retrieval efficiency by 278% and reduced our carbon footprint by using these solar-powered ant bots. Then the boss comes in. What's going on here? Where are the quarterly reports I asked for, TP? Oh, those? Well, while compiling the reports, I noticed some inefficiencies in our data flow, which led me to research collective intelligence in social insects, which then inspired this complete overhaul of our organizational structure. Boss, so you didn't do the reports? INTP, reports? Why would we need reports when we have fully autonomous self-optimizing bionic information ecosystem? Doesn't make any sense. So our INTP learns an important lesson in workplace priorities. Sometimes the quarterly report is just a quarterly report, not an opportunity to reinvent the nature of information itself. The accidental entrepreneur. INTP is in their apartment, which looks like a cross between a tech startup and a mad scientist lab. For many, starting a business is a carefully planned endeavor. For an INTP, it's more like accidentally taking over the world while trying to solve a minor inconvenience. INTP sits surrounded by gadgets and gizmos, tinkering with what looks like a toaster married to a smartphone. Friend. Hey, do you want to grab a dinner? You've been cooped up in here for weeks. INTP, not even looking up. I can't. I've almost finished. Finished with what? I call it the quantum toaster. It uses uncertainty principle to simultaneously toast your bread to every possible level of doneness, allowing you to collapse the wave function to your preferred crispness upon observation. That's insane and amazing, but mostly insane. Thanks. I started working on it after I got tired of imperfectly toasted bread. Then I thought, why stop at bread? So I expanded the concept to a unified theory of culinary quantum mechanics. So our INTP takes their invention and it presents it at a tech conference, appearing on magazine covers. They list the company on the stock market, and the company is doing really well. And just like that, our INTP went from solving a minor breakfast dilemma to revolutionizing the entire food industry. The lesson? Never underestimate an INTP with a problem to solve and too much free time. Now we're back at INTP apartment, which now is much more fancy. I can't believe you're a tech billionaire now. INTP looking up from their next invention. I'm a what now? A billionaire. Your company is all over the news. Oh yeah, sure. Hey, do you think it's possible to use string theory to create the perfect spaghetti? I've been having trouble getting the al dente just right. Remember folks, while some people can't see the forest for the trees, an INTP might just reimagine the entire concept of forestry whilst looking for the perfect toothpick. Social battery. INTP sits in a busy coffee shop, hunched over a laptop. Social interaction. For some, it's the spice of life. For an INTP, it's more like a complex chemical reaction that needs to be carefully managed to avoid explosions. INTP is furiously typing, surrounded by empty coffee cups. If I adjust the algorithm to account for ambient noise levels, factor in caffeine intake, and correlate with lunar cycles, then their French approaches them. Hey, fancy running into you here. Want to catch up? INTP freezes, then slowly looks at their wrist device, which displays a battery icon at 15%. Then they say, oh, hello, I'd love to, but I'm afraid my social battery is running rather low. Perhaps we could schedule an interaction for next Tuesday at, 2:15 p.m. I anticipate 87% charge by then, assuming no unforeseen social drains. Friend, visibly confused. Social battery? What are you talking about? Oh, let me explain. I've developed an app that quantifies and manages introvert energy levels. It's called Socially Optimal Cognitive Recharge Application Temperature Evaluator Simulator, or Socrates for short. Then an INTP shows friend the app, which displays complex graphs, charts, and a 3D model of a brain. It uses a combination of biometric data, environmental factors, and a predictive AI model to calculate optimal social interaction times and durations. It's revolutionized my social life. Well, technically, it's optimized my antisocial life. That's actually kind of brilliant. Weird, but brilliant. So our INTP accidentally sparked a global introvert revolution, all in the name of avoiding small talk. The app's slogan? Socrates, helping you know thyself without interruptions. Friend, so can I buy you a coffee at least? INTP, checking the app. A 5-minute low-intensity interaction, Socrates approves. But fair warning, if we start discussing the philosophical implications of AI-managed social interactions, I might need to activate the app's emergency shutdown protocol. Only an INTP could turn avoiding people into a technological breakthrough. Remember, the next time an INTP friend cancels plans, they're not being rude. They're just scientifically optimizing their social energy economy. Now that we've seen INTP grow through their life, let's see what they learned and what advice would they give to their younger self. We are in a cozy coffee shop. Our INTP sits at a table sipping a complex, multi-layered beverage that probably required a flowchart to order. Armed with a lifetime of experiences, an encyclopedic knowledge of obscure facts, and a newfound appreciation for simplicity, our INTP faces the greatest challenge yet, balancing the rich inner world with an external one. A young person approaches the INTP table, looking nervous. Young INTP, excuse me, are you the famous INTP who invented quantum toasting and revolutionized introvert social planning? Our INTP, looking up from a notebook. That's me, though famous is a social construct that varies based on cultural context and individual perception thresholds. Young INTP, eyes widening. I knew it! I'm an INTP too, and I'm really struggling, to be honest. How do you deal with, well, everything? The overthinking, the social awkwardness, the feeling that your brain is constantly running simulations of alternate universes? Our INTP pauses, considering the question carefully. The eternal INTP dilemma. Sit down, let's share some wisdom I've gained on my journey. First, embrace your unique way of thinking. It's not a flaw, it's a feature. Your ability to see connections or the miss? That's your superpower. But what about when people don't understand me, or when I can't stop analyzing every little thing? Our INTP nodding. I've been there. Here's what I've learned. Your complex thoughts are like vast ocean. Most people are used to paddling in shallow waters. You don't need to drag them into the depths. Just bring them some interesting shells from time to time. I found that sometimes the most complex ideas are best expressed simply. It's like quantum entanglement explained through the medium of cat memes. As for the overthinking, channel it. Use that analytical power to solve real problems. but also learn to recognize when it's time to let go. Not everything needs to be deconstructed to its most simple parts. Young INTP. How do you know when to stop analyzing? I developed a complex algorithm involving mood rings, tidal patterns, and a Fibonacci sequence, but then I realized I could just ask myself, is this helping? If not, it's time to redirect that mental energy somewhere else. And remember, it's okay to enjoy simple pleasures, like this coffee. I could analyze its chemical composition, ponder the socioeconomic implications of coffee cultivation, or debate the phenomenology of caffeine-induced states of consciousness, young INTP. Or explore the parallels between coffee brewing methods and various philosophical schools of thought. Or I could just enjoy its taste and the moment of peace it brings. Sometimes a good cup of coffee is just a good cup of coffee. And so our INTP passes on the torch of wisdom, helping new generations navigate the complex waters of INTP-hood. They've learned that their unique perspective is valued, but so is the ability to connect with others and find joy in simplicity. Our INTP has finally evolved, not by changing who they are, but by learning to balance their intricate inner world with an external one. They still ponder the mysteries of the universe, but they also learn to appreciate the beauty of here and now. You know, human interaction is a lot like quantum mechanics. The more you try to precisely measure and control it, the more uncertain it becomes. Sometimes you just have to embrace the uncertainty principle of socializing. Remember, whether you are an INTP or just trying to understand one, life is a complex system of infinite variables. Sometimes the best approach is to simply embrace the chaos and enjoy the ride.